Hi, I'm Lucille, functional health practitioner and spiritual coach. I help people heal their bodies through functional lab testing, looking into gut and hormone imbalances to seek the root cause. This is the Vital Energy Podcast, and here we will be exploring topics related to health, science, and spirituality. All right, my love, let's get into it. I welcome you to my very first ever Vital Energy podcast episode. I am so excited to be sharing this new creative outlet with you where I channel my voice to share ideas surrounding science, spirituality, health, and personal wellness. In this episode, we are going to delve into topics surrounding the female menstrual cycle. We are going to be uncovering long lost, long forgotten spiritual and physical implications that come along with this 4-phase cycle that as women we experience on a monthly basis. In our education system, the period is treated in a kind of interesting way. We are educated vaguely on the concept that women bleed and men do not. And as young girls, especially around that age when we are beginning to anticipate the arrival of our moon blood, we begin to develop thought forms surrounding the concept of menstruation. And a lot of this is cast subconsciously in a negative light. We learn from such a young age that our menstrual blood is embarrassing. It's something to be ashamed of. God forbid you get your first period in gym class when you're climbing the rope or in any kind of a vulnerable position. This can be extremely traumatic for young women. We never know when it's coming, and the anticipation of it, for me at least, was very palpable and it was very exciting. The idea of becoming a woman was just so titillating to me at that age. I just couldn't wait for it to happen. I just wanted it to happen to me. And I'll share with you very briefly the story of my first period. I was on a camping trip in the Canadian bush with a friend and her family. And fortunately, I was with a few very spiritual older women who knew how to honor and celebrate the menstrual cycle, who knew how to celebrate the coming of age that comes with a woman's first menstruation. So when it happened to me, it was a moment of celebration for them, but I was a bit shy and I was embarrassed. And the exact moment that it happened, I was in a canoe out on the lake with 3 boys and one of my girlfriends, and I was the smallest, so I was asked to sit on the floor of the canoe, which was pooled with water, so I was sitting in a bit of a puddle, and nothing major happened. I didn't know that I had started bleeding until after we got off the lake, but I remember being very grumpy, very disgruntled by the fact that I was made to sit on the floor of the canoe. So I had that experience, and none of the boys knew what had happened, and it was treated in a very private and sacred way by the women who were there with me in Canada. So I was very fortunate in that sense. But the stories that I heard from other girls who were experiencing their first menstruation in middle school were not so kind. So as I grew older and went on to college and went on to even after college as a early 20s living in New York City, my period sort of stayed a bit of a mystery to me. It was something that I dreaded each month. And it was something that, as a sexually active young woman, was a great source of anxiety for me. I would always become extremely anxious that, oh God, what if my period doesn't come? Even if I was using protection, there was always this what if looming over my head. And that was all of it. I didn't have a deeper connection with my menstrual cycle, let alone did I know that there were 4 unique phases of the menstrual cycle that come with their own unique gifts and help you tap into different strengths that you have as a woman that are unique to you as a woman. So it is my hope to be able to spread this wisdom a little further from what I have learned in my later 20s as I began to take more of an interest in the spiritual side of things and began to take more of an interest in my body, my health, my mental well-being. So I'm going to break down for you the menstrual cycle into the 4 phases and give you just a brief introduction to what this means physically for the female body and what the spiritual divine implications are that come along with each unique phase. So the first one that I would like to touch on, I suppose, would be the menstrual phase. And this is the part of the month in which your uterus is shedding its layer and you are bleeding. And this time of the month can feel very heavy. You may feel that you need to have a lot more time for rest. It may be harder to push yourself to accomplish your goals at work. It may be less of a social time for you. And during this time, your hormones, which have been building up all month long, your progesterone and your estrogen, have begun to slide downhill and come to a sort of crash. So around the first or second day of your bleed, you may feel extra tired. You may experience, if your hormones are crashing too quickly, you may experience a headache. You may experience, this is when your nausea, your menstrual cramps come in. And when your hormones are very supported and very imbalanced, when you're getting all of the nutrients that your body needs and you're not dealing with too much stress, this gentle slope downward of hormones doesn't cause quite so many symptoms. So there are ways to support your body and bring this into a more deep balance so that this menstrual phase is not so intense. But I would love to talk to you very briefly about the beautiful spiritual gifts that are overlooked and not shared and not taught about this particular phase of your menstrual cycle. One of the spiritual implications here is that the pineal gland is more activated at this time, connecting you and making it more possible for you to receive more intuitive downloads, more intuition that you can then internalize and begin to bring into your daily life. So this is a wonderful time to do more gentle meditation, to sit with yourself, do some breath work, and to do some journaling and allow your creative mind to open and flow. Allow those ideas to drop in and come through without judgment. This is also a really good time to simply examine your life. Examine what you have put into action in the past month and see what is working for you and what is ready to be released. When you are menstruating and you are shedding this uterine lining, you are going through a physical detox. You are detoxifying. Your body is shedding a layer and it is carrying with it physical elements that your body no longer needs, that your body wishes to release. And if you are experiencing clumpy, clotty periods or stagnant periods that don't want to start and the blood is thick and dark, then these are signs that are pointing to your liver needing more support in this physical detox. But I believe there is a spiritual detox happening here as well. That whatever it is you have spiritually absorbed into your energetic body over the course of the month is also having an opportunity to shed. So if you give yourself a little extra restful, peaceful time to release that energy, this can be a really powerful thing to do for yourself and a really powerful way to use this part of your menstrual cycle for a benefit. So moving out of the menstrual phase, you immediately at the end of your period step into the follicular phase. And I like to look at this phase of the menstrual cycle as a metaphor for the springtime in your life. This is when your body, after the long winter of the menstrual phase, begins to gently, slowly awaken, kind of like the earth thawing out from a long winter when all the little buds start to pop out of the soil as the soil begins to thaw. It can feel really, as soon as your menstrual phase is over, you can feel really tempting to jump into action. But sometimes this springtime phase needs to happen more gradually, more gently, as you gently unfold, coming out of the winter and blooming into spring. And this part of the phase is when your follicle stimulating hormone begins to rise. And this hormone is what encourages the follicle to grow that will then be releasing the egg in the next phase of your menstrual cycle. And along with this, your other hormones, your estrogen and your progesterone, will slowly begin to awaken as well. And over the course of the entire month, these hormones, your progesterone and your estrogen, are going to gently rise up in an intricate dance, almost like a ballet, that is specifically designed by divine intelligence to enable your body to release a healthy egg so that you may be able to reproduce. So this springtime, this follicular phase, is a perfect time to plant the seeds for new ideas, for new projects. It's a great time to start organizing and conceptualizing how you would like to harness your energy as you move through your month. Now, as you move out of this springtime follicular phase, you will begin to move into what I call the summer phase, the ovulatory phase of the menstrual cycle. And during this phase, you are going to feel a massive expansion. As you ovulate, your body is biologically designed to attract a mate. So your hormones begin to release scents that signal to the male subconscious mind that you are fertile, that you are available for mating, and people will find that they are more attracted to you during this time of your menstrual phase without even knowing what is causing that attraction. So you can really use this to your benefit. You can plan meetings and consultations and creative collaborations, anything that will demand extra energy, extra need for you to show up with your fullest, most vibrant energy can be planned for this time of the month, and that will greatly benefit you. During this time, I feel immense waves of opening in my heart chakra, and I love to sit with myself and do a bit of a heart chakra expanding and opening meditation. This is when your hormones are peaking. Now, after the egg has been released, your progesterone will begin to rise as your estrogen begins to fall. Progesterone is the hormone that enables you to maintain gestation of a human baby. It's what enables you to carry a pregnancy. And so as these hormones do their intricate dance, you want them to stay in balance. If you're experiencing low progesterone or high progesterone, or vice versa, if you're experiencing low estrogen or high estrogen, you're going to be experiencing all kinds of correlated symptoms. And this could range anywhere from weight gain to hair loss to migraines to chronic fatigue. And these kinds of hormone imbalances can also affect women in more serious ways, including endometriosis, PCOS, and similar conditions. So when we are in the medical system and we're looking at these conditions, it's so important to evaluate the hormonal state of the woman, because there are implications. If there's a hormone that is very low, we want to look and find out what is causing this hormone to be so low. Therefore, we can truly begin to resolve whatever is at the root of this problem. So as you begin to move out of the ovulatory phase, you then move into the luteal phase. And I like to call this the fall of your menstrual cycle. Spring and summer have come to an end, and now we are slowly working our way toward winter. And for most women, this is the most difficult, most challenging time of the menstrual cycle. After such a big, expansive ovulatory phase, it can be very challenging to release that creative energy, to release that momentum as the leaves begin to fall away, as your body begins to go back to sleep, as it returns to the winter, as it prepares to shed this lining. In a way, spiritually, during this time of the month, every month we are experiencing a death. And throughout the entire menstrual cycle, we are experiencing both a death and a rebirth. So if we take this from the spiritual perspective, this death and rebirth can be used to our advantage. It can be used to shed layers, to shed trauma, to shed emotional baggage that does not belong, to shed thought forms, thought patterns that are not serving us, to shed layers of conditioning and trauma that we have received from our family, that we have received from our community, that we are inundated by in this modern world, to shed what no longer serves us and what does not belong to us. So every time my menstrual phase comes around and it's time for me to bleed again, I begin to tap more deeply into this pineal gland activation. I begin to accept this beautiful spiritual time of connection to source. And I'm able to bring in waves of euphoria as I maintain that connection instead of the frustration that can come with allowing your body to soften, allowing your body to take a break and rest. So now is the time that I would love to invite you to explore my Sacred Mother Mastermind, which is a 6-week intensive program for female cycle breakers, for divine self-healers, for women who are divine feminine witches, who are ready to heal even more deeply the next layers of their generational trauma, for women who are ready to do a deep dive into inner child work. This is especially good for women who are young mothers, who are considering becoming mothers, who would really love to shed that generational trauma before it is passed on down the bloodline even further. And by doing this work, we truly are performing inner alchemy. We are seeking the philosopher's stone within. I would love for you to visit my webpage and explore the Sacred Mother Mastermind and see if it calls out to you. In this program, as I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, I have also included one of the most powerful, most thorough, state-of-the-art hormone tests done from a lab called Precision Analytical. It is called the Dutch hormone test. And this hormone test, it tests for not only all of your sex and stress hormones, but it also tests for your hormone metabolites to see how your body is breaking down and assimilating your hormones. If there's any breakdown occurring, we can use this test to really identify more accurately what is causing the breakdown and how your body can be supported to balance your hormones more thoroughly. So take a look at the Sacred Mother Mastermind on my website, which is vitalenergy.love. And thank you so much for joining me for this first episode of the Vital Energy podcast. I am looking forward to doing this more with you all. Love you so much. Bye. If you are a woman ready to awaken her womb dragon, heal her hormones, and release generational trauma, Sacred Mother Mastermind begins August 14th. Check it out.